everyone. In today's video, we're going to be answering a question somebody had recently where they were asking, how do I make decoys work? You know, if I want to fire a bunch of chaff or a bunch of flare, what button do I push? And the reality is, for the most part, most of those things are handled completely automatically, as in the little miniature pilot, you know, the 1 pixel wide pilot who's operating our airplane right now, is basically going to be the one who's responsible for deploying everything at exactly the moment it's supposed to be deployed. Now, it's important that I preface this real quickly saying you actually can intentionally lay chaff as a continuous stream. We covered that like about 4 years ago, so you can go take a look at that if you want to check it out. But the point here is we have an F-16, and we're sneaking up on an SA-2. I've ordered this F-16 not to do anything defensive when it gets launched at. Now, the reason I like this scenario is because if I actually pop up the F-16 here, I'm like, yay, F-16. One of the things you'll notice is it has a couple defensive tools. For one, of course, you probably notice it has a radar warning receiver. Very helpful, by the way. You'll also observe that it has CM countermeasure dispensing system and has a bunch of chaff and a bunch of flare. And importantly, it has the ANALE50 version 2 twin 2 system with 4 decoys. What is that? That is a towed decoy, aka the little buddy, that theoretically creates a big enough radio frequency kind of target that if you shoot a missile at it, it goes after the decoy instead of the F-16 itself. That's the theory. It's also worth noting that this particular loadout right now also has another defensive tool, and that's the fact that it has the lovely ANALQ 184 DECM pod. Now, you're sitting here going, well, that was a lot of E-I-E-I-O, alphabet soup. What does it all mean? Well, let me show you what it means, because if you can see it, it'll make more sense when it happens. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unpause, because why not? But I'm also going to go ahead and switch over my map mode, or I should say my message log mode, to be traditional. So I'm going to click the little arrow, and I have this little button right here. It's actually an all mode. You have inter mode. You have all sorts of different little options here, depending on what you need the message log to do. One thing you can do, though, is you can pop it into a separate window. And the reason I like popping it into a separate window is when the fireworks start, it's going to be easier to actually see it as it happens, which I don't know, I just find that helpful, I guess, kind of a thing. I don't know, it's just me. All right, so let's cause some problems here. F-16 is sneaking up on the SA-2. I can't tell you how many games and how many times I've done this exact scenario with that exact type of airplane against that exact type of target. Although, let's be honest, very rarely would you get popped at by an SA-2DE. That's a Soviet system. A lot of times they'd be Fs, especially, and sometimes you had like the C and the Bs if it's like a Vietnam scenario. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and have them fire at us because they're only going to take a few seconds. There it is. Beautiful. Pause. Excellent. Now let's see what happened here. So we noticed there was a new weapon contact to SAM. We also noticed there was another weapon contact. We can see it sneaking in here. Connection's been lost. Connection's been lost. That was a little unusual because we lost sight of the missile as it came off the barrel. It's okay though because they'll fire another one in a second, Assad. Here we go. Delightful. Here it comes. Here comes. Here comes. And pause. Nice. Excellent. That did everything I wanted. By the way, the reason it disappeared is there's a mountain range here. I forgot my own geometry. Okay, so if you come down here now, you'll see that we have a weapon contact, SAM number 5, detected at 13 miles. That's pretty good eyes, to be honest. Now, you'll notice when the missile got to us, the first thing that happened is the ANALE50 went ahead and kicked on. It's a 1990s technology. It attempted to seduce the incoming SAM. And you can see here, it has about a 40% chance to do so. It rolled an 81, so it failed. So my ANALE blew it. So then it moves on to the next defensive tool, which happens to be generic chaff. Now, this generic chaff, you push the chunk here, chaff, flare, a bunch of chaff and flare came ejecting. I hope you just push the chaff button. You'll notice here that it's got a really, really good chance of actually confusing the missile. The reality is the SA-2 is garbage against, especially modern chaff. And you'll see here that it was a success, which means that this particular tool, the chaff cartridge, actually caused the missile to lose its actual target and miss. So this chaff cartridge won. Now, if you come up here a little bit, you'll notice the ANALE had a second try. Now, you're sitting here going, dude, it doesn't make sense, because if you look here, according to this, the chaff already did it. That's correct, but remember, these things are all happening simultaneously. So our 2 decoys failed, our chaff won. If we come to this one, you'll notice that these 2 are not a second shot of the chaff, but the reality is it's the chaff against the second missile. So you'll see the first round went through, the RT failed, chaff succeeded. The second missile, we have the RT again, the little buddy, failed, but the chaff again succeeded. So as a result, both of these weapons completely missed the target. And it even says here, all seekers were spoofed, missed target. And you can see that they vanished because anybody who's ever played any flight sim would know that at this point, of course, what would happen is our SAM would just go by and go and basically make a huge, really nasty, angry, loud firework. But the cool thing, of course, is our F-16 got in range. So we can now go ahead and have the F-16 get the heck out of here. Actually, I think he's got to finish dropping his weaponry there. F-16, yep, you can actually look over here and see that he's gone through quite a bit of his resources here. You can turn around now and leave. Go, 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 go. Maximum altitude afterburner, which is the last thing you'd want to do. You'd want to drag it higher. But this is good. This is good. This is good. Check this out. Check this out. Consider yourself splattered. Boom. Nicely done, F-16. Nicely done. That's what I'm talking about. Now, one of the things you'll find kind of cool here is if I come back here, you can actually see that quite a bit of party went on here. And you can actually see that other F-16 actually took a pot, F-16. The other SA-2 actually took a pot shot. Remember that one that was chasing me down? But you could see it basically ran out of energy. We also found out that an SA-7, yes, some dude with a shoulder-launched weapon actually took a pot shot at that weapon wind-corrected munitions dispenser. And I'm just going to tell you right now, let's see here what he had for a choice here. He had a 1% chance to hit, which is pretty good, but you can see the result. 74. That's a miss. And again, he didn't hit anything. Of course, our weapons, they did their job perfectly and basically all over the SAM site itself. So the reason this is important is when you get to more complex units. Let me go get you one real quickly here. Let's get a B-52H, and now we'll get a nice modern one. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's go all out. Let's go all out. If you get to something like a B-52, one of the things you have to watch out for is that look at how many defensive tools it has. It actually only has flares and chaff. And you're like, are you kidding me? That's it? But the reality is, if you actually prop up here, you'll realize it has more than that. It also has, of course, the radar warning receiver, the defensive ECM, which should be subtracted directly from the attack. And of course, we have the OECM and DECM. So it's actually possible to block the radars from ever knowing you were there, assuming you're on the correct wavelength, which is something I've discussed before. Now, the crazy thing here is this also applies to things like torpedoes. So if a torpedo has a certain chance of hitting a ship, let's go get one just as an example here. We'll go grab ourselves submarine. Of course, we're going to grab Virginia. Meet Virginia. We'll grab that one. Looks good to me, and it doesn't really have a loadout. But if I pop this one up, if I scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the fact that they've got the signal ejector, the 3-inch one, and they have this nice torpedo decoy. If I actually hit that, you could get the stats on it. And if you just were curious here, you will observe that against a subsurface target, it only has a 20% chance of succeeding. That's assuming, by the way, that the thing that it's defending against is not a more modern version of whatever particular weapon system is. That's something we've dealt with in another day as well. The important thing to note here, though, is that is going to be subtracted as the torpedo hits. It's not going to have to be activated special for those of you who play cold waters and stuff like that. It's always automatic. Enjoy.